task was called Express Yourself, and this is the chapter 1, discovering a sense of origin. Task, Express Yourself, and so that was to list 10 positive adjectives used to describe you.
It was harder than I thought, but you know, knowing that okay, I'm not unlike Eva, I'm not gonna blog about it, so other people won't see it. So then I don't feel so subconscious, like, oh well, they'll think I'm arrogant if I say that
I put as a lot of my descriptions things that other people say about me, you know, that I don't always see about myself. So I was wondering why I did that, you know, at the time. I kind of caught myself, like when I was at number 6, I was like, oh, these are things that other people say about me, so I'm going to start writing things that I say about me.
Yeah.
But it took me a while because my first thing was to do about what everybody else says about me.
You were thinking more of your girls.
Right.
You were thinking, what do I want them to be? Am I this thing? Well, I guess I am.
Yeah, and I think that's always I'm always conscious about that. It's like, you know, I never want them to feel like, I don't want them to use me as a crutch, because I know people that use their parents as a crutch, or why. Oh, well, you know, she's happy, and but she did this, you know, she's not really pursuing it, but she's happy.
Yeah.
So I'm okay if I'm not pursuing it. You know what I mean? I don't want my kids to use me as saying, okay, well, my mom, she was happy and she did okay and she turned out okay.
I think you have to go even farther than that and encourage your kids, especially your daughters, not to wait for permission from somebody else.
Yes.
And this, and again, this crosses over into my other life, but I need to blog about this on my other blog too, about, because when I'm working with women in particular in coaching, it's this issue always comes up. We're always waiting for permission from somebody else to do what we want to do. And we don't need permission from anybody.
And you know what? People don't have time to give you permission. They're too busy with their own lives. Why would we wait for that anyway?
Why? Exactly. But we do. You know, it's just and I think we have to consciously try to develop that in our, you know, kids and our daughters intentionally, just to don't need their permission. Just do what you know needs to be done, or do the right thing, or whatever. You know, don't wait for somebody else to tell you it's okay.
You know, let me say one more thing about what the hell, you might as well, which I think should become our new mantra. Like, you know, like whenever you're hesitating on something, just hear yourself say, what the hell, I might as well, right? I mean, unless it's illicit or something.
I use a version of that, which is, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, right. So, but part of doing this list, you know, like when I got to doing the dress, it was like, oh no, that's a big project and a half. But then when I had more things on there that were actually more intimidating, I was like, well, now the dress doesn't seem so bad. So it's like, I think that my problem is I use everything else. I try to make my life, you know, I fill it up with things to make, you know, my house perfectly organized and everything, because the book is the hardest thing.
Right.
And it motivates me to do everything else, and, you know, I'm doing this royal wedding planning party or whatever, just like, but the book is the hardest thing. It's like, if I could somehow take on something harder than that, then maybe the book would be the easy thing.
Yeah,
that's true.
That is.
If you could write all the music for a movie, would you do it?
Oh, like a Disney cartoon, like a Disney thing? I would totally.
Yeah.
Can you get in?
If Elton John came to you today and said, will you collaborate with me and write the lyrics for the next movie? Whatever.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's my goal. So now I can write a book. Elton, if you're out there.
Breakthrough.
Okay, here's
I think my fan fiction. That was one of mine.
Oh, that's
see?
okay.
There you go. You did
and I finished it. Oh, I never finished saying what fan fiction is.
Oh, yes.
I got distracted. So I was writing this. I'm like, I just want to just write it. It'll be fun. It'll be good exercise for me because there's no expectations. So I started it, and then I heard this phrase somewhere. I don't even remember where I was that I heard it, or maybe I read it online. Fan fiction, and I was like, oh, well, what is that? And actually, I was kind of annoyed with myself because I think I'm, you know, so knowledgeable about, you know, what books and so forth, and I didn't know what it was. So I looked it up, and it's that when you take you know, you just write something that is a shoot off of some way. And
well, can't you publish it if it's not for profit? Just put as a blog share?
I don't know, but I know that some
you can publish on fan fiction sites.
You can publish it on fan fiction sites, and there are some I was going to say artists, but I think there are artists, but writers that actually encourage it, and there are some that are pretty aggressive in discouraging it, like even to the point of legal action, which is kind of interesting to me. But
well, it could be hard because what if they did simultaneously come up with the same idea, and then it looks like you know.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there's a lot of sites out there about it. But So then I was like, well, that's really cool. But then I started looking at it as kind of like the ugly stepchild, you know, or is that, I don't know if that's the right phrase, but the redheaded stepchild, I guess they call it. But, you know, that, oh, okay, you can't, it's not really legitimate writing, was the way I was looking at it. And part of it was because you can't publish it on your own, but also
Any writing is legitimate.
yeah, well, right. But when you read, and so I read a lot of this fan fiction, and a lot of it is really not good. It's just not good. But some of it is good, you know. And so then I said it doesn't really matter because I'm just writing it for myself anyway, just to basically exercise that muscle. And so I kept writing. And then Vivi sent me an email with the name of someone who she ended up publishing a book, right? But she got noticed because of her writing on a fan fiction.
That's how she was found.
Site
so I said, look, you see, this is important.
I was afraid. I mean, I had that fear that if I did put it out there on a fan fiction site, that suddenly that would label me as a
Amateur,
as
fan
an
fiction
amateur,
writer, yeah.
not a legitimate, you know, writer. And
kind of like the people who show up at Star Trek conventions.
You're right, exactly, exactly.
Who takes it? I have enough on my plate already. I'm like, I don't need to add to
hell, you
it.
might
And
as
then I
well.
realized I need to go minutia, which I never do. I always put the big things: lose
Yes.
weight, write a book, blah blah
Right.
blah. So I went in and wrote, drive a different direction to work. Put on my mascara before I put on my blush. And so I put on like stupid tiny things.
Wait, before you
and I
want
did some.
your mascara first, but then doesn't powder get in your
No, my blush.
So put on your blush first.
No, I do my powder first. I do the exact same thing. It's basically like put your socks on first before you put your shirt on. I mean, it's like things that
Just
you
do
don't
things
normally do.
out of
Oh, I see.
order.
Just
So
to mix
it
it
was put my blush on first before my mascara, which I do last. I always do the blush last.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just little things, and it was kind of fun to do that.